Welcome back to Storm Chasers, a hockey podcast with Sandro and Gino. Um, Super pumped for tonight's podcast because it's the first one that we've done since your Carolina Hurricanes are the 2026 Stanley Cup champions. Let's go. Gino, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you believe it?
Oh my
I still
gosh.
feel like it's not real.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. It is. It's the best. It's one of the best feelings in the world, and I didn't even play.
Yeah, I think we said it all playoffs long. Like the thing that made this team so special, and to me, the thing that like honestly had me just wanting them to win the cup that much more was like how many stories individually and collectively there were in that locker room. Like,
Yeah.
can you believe? Where do we even start? Like, see,
Um. Yeah. I have. Honestly, let's just start breaking or by breaking down the game, right? Like we've done pretty much all playoffs. I think that's always helpful to sort of set the stage for what we want to talk about. Canes win 3-0. Taylor Hall gets the scoring started almost right away in the first period. Uh, almost 4 minutes into the game, he has the sort of one-on-one breakaway and has a beautiful shot. Then we have Jackson Blake off of the stick of Mitch Marner in the second period, and Ehlers seals the deal in the third period with the empty net goal. And like that empty net goal is where you just like immediately felt the excitement. Like that's when it was like, okay, we can exhale. It was incredible.
yeah, I mean, it really that was the dagger at the end of the day. Two goals, especially with the opportunities they were looking at late in that third period. You never know how that goes,
Oh my
especially the
gosh.
way the last few games of the series have gone. So I think that empty netter was a lot bigger than maybe it seems on the score sheet.
I think that empty netter is just as big as Jack Eichel ringing the crossbar. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
oh my
You know
goodness, that was insane.
what is the saying about close is only like
Oh,
it
it's
only matters in horseshoes or whatever.
yeah, it's almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And well, Jack Eichel really couldn't get it done in the finals.
No, no.
He did not look great. I think hard to say they didn't look good because they did have lots of good chances, and I think that the Canes clearly dominated that last game. But at the end of the day, Vegas was a good team, and they took it to us in the first half of that series, and I think the Canes just stuck with it and they played their system, and that's kind of our superpower. That is our X factor,
I
So
100% agree. I've seen a lot of talk about how this game, out of every game in the finals, looked like a Carolina Hurricanes hockey game from like start to finish. This was where we played our game, and I think it's only fitting that that's how we clinched the cup.
yeah. Second fewest games to win a Stanley Cup in the modern playoff format era, only behind the Super '88 Oilers. Unbelievable. I
Yeah,
mean, we
yeah.
saw. Go ahead. What did you
Oh
want to
no,
say?
no. I'm just agreeing with you, man.
I Unbelievable. And you look at the guys we did it with, and how this roster was so heavily criticized for not having your superstar players and whatever. The fact that this team went out there and essentially did a copycat of what a star stud, like generational talent team, was able to do. It's just unbelievable. I want to talk about Bussy because, I mean, I think he was the turning point of the series. I talked about, Vegas having a strong start, and, you know, we just stuck with it. And Freddie, we did learn Freddie got hurt, which is why he didn't play, or they pulled him. He actually got hurt in the game before they pulled him too. So um, I think at the end of the day, the fact that we had, you know, an undrafted, claimed off waivers, hasn't played a playoff game ever, has, you know, I don't know. What an incredible performance. The saves he was making were unbelievable. The just, oh my gosh.
It
I just
feels
I
like
kept thinking,
a movie, man, like a movie story that was written to pump people up. It's incredible. I like you look at our roster too. Just this little deviation from us here, top to bottom. There are guys everywhere that have just like the coolest story to get to this point, and that's what I think. Like I love about this team the most is like the Taylor Halls, Keandre Miller, who have like come to North Carolina and come to the Hurricanes and just like you know completely like they accomplished the thing that like they were not doing elsewhere, and I think that's so cool because everyone brings a unique like trait and skill to the table. So like you said, Bussy, right? Like it's really cool too because you're seeing the storylines that we've sort of heard about throughout the season really take off in like the national media and coverage of the Canes, and I think it's so cool because you get to hear the story about how Bussy was waived from the Panthers and driving up to Charlotte to play for the AHL team there, and then getting the call halfway to Charlotte that they're going to the Canes and he's going to be a Hurricane, and that all happened earlier this year before he won 30 games in the regular season.
yeah,
It's insane.
and we all knew what he was capable of. We saw it in the regular season, and it just it's a matter of like convincing the rest of the league at the end of the day, right? That
Yeah.
yeah, we do have a star there, and from you and I criticizing the team all season, especially in that. Well, I think you were more of a fan of our net this year, but
Yeah, I
I
was.
didn't like the tandem for a lot of it. I loved Bussy, but there was still a lot of doubt, right? And even for me, I think it's like rightfully so, right? But it was interesting. I saw an interview where they looked at the different teams he had been on and why he maybe hadn't gotten his NHL chance yet. And
Yeah.
it really just comes down to he was on absolutely goaltending loaded teams.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
Boston had Olmark and Swayman. You're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna play Bussy
No,
in
those
front
are
of those
two
two
number one.
guys.
Those are two number one guys,
Yeah,
and
and then he goes to Panthers, and like what? He's not gonna overtake Bobrovsky,
oh
right?
my gosh, yeah. Speaking of that, we'll get to that later.
We'll
But
talk to that. Yeah,
yeah,
but
silly Bob
so
news.
so he played incredible with both of those organizations in their AHL teams. Um, and people had been speculating for a long time that he'd get a chance, and I think the Canes are just absolute superstars at finding those kinds of players. You mentioned Taylor Hall, another guy who was being benched in Chicago at the end of his stint there. Um, people pretty much considered him washed, and the performance he put on pretty much all season long, but really in the playoffs with Stankoven and Blake was just absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, well, I think it's just abundantly clear that Rod, Eric Tulsky, and the rest of the Carolina Hurricanes like scouting department and front office have found a really good formula for finding guys that are willing to buy into Rod's system and being a Carolina Hurricane. And I think that's where it all starts because in doing so, you're able to find guys who are able to take team friendly deals but still get like big contracts. So like again, it's just top to bottom with our roster, right? Just you know, so many different guys signed to long term, like kind of big contracts, and that they are all just willing to buy in. So you have Stankoven, you have Blake, you have Hall, who's on a 3 year extension. And it's just guys who, when they play, right, you could see that they lay it out on the line. One of the coolest things to me is watching Logan Stankoven play hockey. He is a machine, and he plays so big. And I hate that like whenever Logan Stankoven is being discussed, his size is brought up because he's so much more than that on the ice. He is so much bigger than that conversation. And once we could sort of get past that, I think there's going to be a lot of people who just like really can see how talented he is and how effective he is at winning the puck along the board and passing the puck, but also scoring. I think he's such a well-rounded player. And then, like to that point, I think you can say that and you can like go pick out those fine details of that really cool arc for everyone on the roster. It's just incredible.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think like the way Rod and Eric Tolsky and all the guys in the front office for the Canes ultimately, where they reap the benefits, honestly, of kind of seeking out these players. It might take a little more work, but ultimately these players normally sign extensions at a much lower cost. You said semi big, but I actually think we have insanely small contracts. Like Stankoven getting paid, what is it, 6 million?
It's six, yeah.
Dude, that's gonna be unreal. I mean, that's already unbelievable, but like in 2 to 3 years, even in 4 or 5 years, that is an insane steal with the cap going up. Like the we have tiny contracts, and I think
I mean, to that point,
that
speaking of tiny contracts, the guy we were just talking about earlier, Brandon Bussey, man, 3 years, like what, $1.5 million or
yeah,
about that for the next 3 years after
and you know what
he
that
just shut
does?
the door in the Stanley Cup final. That's amazing.
What he just did is he just cured the problem in Carolina, which was the
For
net.
the time being, yeah, yeah, 100%.
I think he, at least for okay, maybe he doesn't cure it, but I think he gives Eric Tolsky and Rod, confidence in the fact that
Yes,
we can try it next year. And
exactly.
if he's successful next year, I think they know what they got on their hands.
I
And then you look at the extension, right?
Yeah, it gives us the freedom to not have to overpay for a goalie, right? Like in the off
I don't
season.
even know
And I think
that we
that's huge.
necessarily have to go after gold. Maybe a
Exactly.
goaltender, a third, but at the end of the day, I think instead now, because we have all these great contracts, I think they have 13 million cap space
It's
going
gonna
up
go up, yeah.
next year. But they have a re-signing in Nikishin, or I guess a first-time signing with Nikishin. Um, and I think all that being said, like we do have the ability to really go be aggressive, either uh, in the off season with free agents, or even through trade. I think it'll be really interesting to see what the Canes want to do. Like now we have this championship roster.
Yeah. And I don't
How do
think
we go? Where do we go from here?
I
Yeah,
don't think you tinker with it too much, right? Like I that's the big thing. I think the core is still very good. It's still incredibly young, you know. Stankovic and Blake both winning their first cup at what, 22, 23? Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I will
unreal.
say,
And
yeah.
they both have, or uh Stankoven has three conference final runs and then Stanley Cup run worth of experience at 23.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I will say though, like, I I guarantee if you asked Eric Tolsky in a private room, like, if you could pick any guys in the whole league and make like your dream team on paper, I guarantee you the Canes that we have now are not the team that he would write down. You know what I mean? So there's certainly upgrades, and I know that there's people that they would want, but I think that the level of guy that we would look to bring in definitely goes up now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we will not get
exactly.
any middle, even like high level. So I don't even think we'd get like an Ehlers level. So like it would have to be a really, really, really big player in my mind
Yeah,
for the
well, I
Canes to
mean,
go. Yeah,
Ehlers
that's what we want.
the Ehlers deal looks like off season signing of the decade, you know,
After
like
this
after
run,
this run.
absolutely.
So I think Nick Ehlers I think he's, I don't know. I would be more than happy if they got a Nick Ehlers or above type of player, you know.
Yeah, and the
Um,
Chicago Wolves are competing for the Calder Cup still as
I
well.
think they're playing as we speak, to be honest. Or they
I
were
don't think
playing
they're doing
earlier.
too well,
No,
but
no, it
but
didn't look like
all
it.
all things aside, I mean, our right now our prospect pool is deep and playing very well.
Yeah,
Our team is playing really well.
we
We
had a
have
lot of
cap
guys.
space.
We had a lot of guys on that Wolves team that are currently playing in the Calder Cup come up
Yeah,
and do significant stints for the Canes this year, especially at the beginning of the season when Slavin was out. They contributed big time to our cup run. If you like really look at it, they got us some big wins when our big dogs were out and not playing, and I think that's huge. I think you'll see some. Well, actually, okay, I don't know how hockey rings work all that much, but I do know that in like baseball, if you have minor leaguers come up and you win the World Series, those minor leaguers are eligible to get the ring if they didn't play in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not positive, but I think it's just like a minimum number of games.
okay,
I think that maybe you have to play to like contribute. Like you can't just
yeah,
play one game, or whatever. I think
yeah,
you have
that
to
makes
like have a
sense.
decent stint with the team. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I could be completely wrong about that. I'm
Yeah,
probably wrong about that, to be honest.
yeah,
But
I have no clue, but like I guess what I'm saying is I think that there were a couple guys on that Wolves roster who did a couple of stints and contributed enough to be recognized with that sort of level of contribution and be given a ring in my mind. Whether that happens or not, it doesn't really matter. But I think it is exciting to see who we have in the pipeline. Charles Alexi Legault, or I don't know if I got his name right at all,
I
but
think he nailed that.
um, he did good things this season before he got cut on the hand. I'm stoked to watch him come up and play. Nystrom looks good when he's on the team. I think there's a lot to be excited about in terms of the prospect pool that we have in Chicago.
Yeah, and then you look at our future draft picks here, and we're loaded.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I look at the Canes and I go, they're in a perfect position right now. They literally could not be in a better spot. They
yeah,
have the perfect combination of everything, and I think that really came to light once we won the cup. I noticed a couple broadcasts picked it up, but it's like the Canes are good, but
yeah.
they're only gonna get better. Like
I think
they're not like they're gonna be good for a while, and
yeah, yeah.
that's something to look forward to. We've already been good for a while. We've been
Exactly.
good for like
That's the
10 years.
I think that's the part that people so the really cool thing about us winning is that that I think the national attention's being given a little bit more fairly to our team, but I think that it is now like the lag occurs for people realizing that like this isn't just like the culmination of our hard work and our efforts and like paying off at the end. Like we've been good for a very long time, but we are going to be good. Like the everyone talks about like the window, right, for winning championships. I I think ours is still wide open, and I think my dream is like a Canes fan is for this to manifest into a dynasty. And I think the Canes are the team is built in a way that, if they stick to it and they keep playing Canes hockey, I think that is achievable for them.
Yeah, wasn't this stat that Stan Bowman said before he gave the cup out? Like essentially, like over the last 8 years, the Canes have won more games in the regular season and playoffs combined than any other team in the whole league,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
is unreal. And they're not showing any signs of stopping. And the window is interesting. I like that you bring that up. I think the Canes are kind of trailblazing right now, and this is a copycat league. It'll be fun to see who or what teams change or what teams decide to try to run, a different strategy, either through rebuilding or whatever, where it's based around getting the right guys. I think we've kind of seen it become a little more popular already. With the Olympics, when there was a couple snubs that people just couldn't believe for multiple teams, and the whole idea behind it was just we want the right guys to win the championship.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see. I think the Canes are really enforcing that, by winning the cup. And I think there's a lot of GMs who would be envious to be in the position that Eric Tolsky's in, because it's, I don't know. Right now, the way windows generally work is like if we were any other team, we'd probably have a big player we need to re-sign or a
Yeah.
couple guys we'd need to let go, and we'd have to go at it again next year.
You
Not
would
to
be
say that
where the
they'd
Dallas
crumble, but
Stars are. You know,
yeah,
it's
or 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 even the Florida Panthers over like their 2-year Cup run. They lost guys and they had a little bit of a change in the locker room and they were still successful. It doesn't mean you won't be successful, but
It makes things a
you just
lot
have to
harder.
pivot.
Yeah,
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 and the Canes really enforced this idea that if you're doing your part and you're playing well, like we give you the opportunity to, we'll keep you here. Period. Like this is family. That this this locker room feels like more than just a professional sports team. They seem to all care about each other. Rod seems to really like enforce that too, and I think they really, you know, it's for life. It's friends for life at
yeah.
the end of the day.
It it's really cool because I know we've talked a lot about like um there being certain points in time where you have to go light like a fire under them, to like be like, yeah, it's time, it's go time. What I really like about Rod and our team is it's abundantly clear that that's not like the main motivational strategy. Like if they need to do that, they can, but they definitely have like yeah, we're going to treat these athletes like people first sort of interaction with them. Uh, Before it's like ultra competitive, like go go go, like super intense type of thing.
Yeah,
And I think that like it's really cool to look at an example of a coach who like the intensity comes through in like the practice, and you could tell the way they're conditioned, like the intensity is a physical thing, but not like I need to get like I don't know, intense and like get
it's
in your head.
desperation.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, yeah.
really cool. It's a You could tell it's like a really strategic and like focused operation they have going on, and I just think that's so cool. The cinder block story, right? That they've been doing the blue collar lifts for the last 5 years, and it's
Yeah.
been a cinder block that weighs the same as the Stanley Cup. That's awesome, right? Like that.
They didn't know
That's
until
like
like recently or something. Yeah, how crazy is
that's
that?
something you see in a movie and you're like, oh, no way that would like ever happen in real life. But no, that it's so cool. There are so many different like storylines and threads that we could pool on and sit here and talk for hours. And it's just so fun that it's getting like the light of day now and the recognition.
I cannot believe Rod took his shirt off, and now that's all anyone seems to want to talk about
Oh
when
my
they talk
gosh.
about the Hurricanes. But my God, dude, I think he really does set the example for. I think that's another thing I really respect when we talk about Rod Brendamore and what he brings to the team and how he contributes to the success and will contribute to the future success is like he gets in there and he works out with the guys. He does the off-season fitness testing with the guys. Jarvis said he thinks that the tests that they have to do are based on what he can do, and he kind of chuckled about it. But it's hilarious. It's like here you have this, what is he, 55-year-old man,
Yeah.
and he's he looks like he's on roids, like just absolutely roided to the gills. He's not. I don't think he is. Maybe he is. I don't know.
No,
But
the
dude's
other cool
crazy.
thing he is just like he is who he portrays himself as too. I feel like he just feels like a genuine person when you like hear him talk and like go about things. Um, the one conversation that I find really entertaining that's going on a lot across like Kane's social media, just like the different social media appearances that these guys are doing all over like ESPN and stuff, is like the talk and narrative that like Rod deserves a statue. And that just makes me so happy because I've been on the Rod deserves a statue train for so long now, and just like screaming it into the void because it's so true. I've said it before too. Like I legitimately think Rod Rindamore is one of the best like coaching examples in all of sports. I think he is one of the coolest like examples of a player coach who like most effectively like applies his experience when like trying to motivate the dudes. And it's just so cool to see him finally get the like flowers he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, if they won't build a freaking statue for him, someone should make a YouTube video to go viral where they just
Oh
make
yeah.
a statue and stick it out in front of Lenovo.
Yeah,
Be
that
pretty sick.
that would make a lot of money, a lot more money than it would cost to build the statue. So that's a good challenge for Canes fans, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, if
Someone
someone does that, make sure you give us credit.
We know there's a lot of crafty people in the triangle. You know, go build a statue, put it out there. Get this done. But yeah,
Speaking of coaches, Tortorella officially not coaching for the Knights again, and now he has to come all the way back to Raleigh to get his clothes. So
yeah, I
he
saw.
has a long week in front of him.
I know. I saw a video. People joking around saying that his clothes can be found at the North Glendale Goodwill in Raleigh. Brutal, man.
I think someone
That's a
bought the
brutal.
suit.
That's a brutal soundbite to have to replay for the rest of your life.
Apparently, that wasn't his first time saying it either.
Oh man.
Apparently, he said it when he coached Columbus too, but it wasn't even for
Oh,
the
that's sad.
finals. He just, yeah, it's like his thing. It's like his boast of confidence.
Wow. Maybe it worked at one time for him, but
No, it didn't. They lost that one too. They lost
ah,
against Columbus when he did it too. So
uh,
he really has to stop using that one.
yeah, that one might be retired. I think after this run, then, because I
Well,
sure as heck would not believe it. Yeah, I don't know.
you were,
It's
you were, yeah, you were at the Lenovo. Tell me a little bit about your experience. How
uh,
was it? Did you get some barbecue? Did you get a beer steak or a beer skate?
no. So beer skates have been sold out for a long time. There's no chance I was getting one of those. I was at the Lenny though. Fortunate enough to be back in the Triangle for a work trip and was able to score some tickets in the ticket queue for the watch party, and it was electric, man. It just sold out, incredibly high vibes. Everyone was like just as engaged as they would be for like an in person game, and I think that was the coolest part. The place was rocking. The Let's Go
Yes.
Canes chants were going. And so you have the 18 and about 18 and a half thousand people inside the arena, and then you walk outside and it's like, oh yeah, there's thousands more out here too. It was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Canes fans. I mean, not only did we pack out Lenovo, I think for every single away game, for the watch parties, but we had a good amount of people travel to Vegas for that final game, which
Oh
I
yeah.
thought was shocking. Well, I guess it's not that shocking, but it still, I mean, the fact that we had as much people in that arena as we did to win the cup, I think is super cool. Uh, actually, a lot of Vegas fans stuck around too to watch the cup get handed out, which I kind of respect. I'll give it
I
to them.
mean, yeah, I feel like you gotta, I don't
If you
know.
spend that much money on a ticket to see the Stanley Cup in the building, you better stay and probably see the Stanley Cup at least, right? Like,
Agreed. Just going back to the Letty, you know, the vibes were different when you're having to park like a mile away and you see news helicopters up in the sky covering the event. It it was just right off the rip an incredible experience. The vibes were high, man. There was like a buzz to it. Did not get the barbecue. They did not have that stand open, but like it was cool to see they had a healthy amount of concessions open. I will say the beer at the Lenny has the cost of a beer has skyrocketed. Back in
can't
the
be worse than
day,
out here in San Jose. There's no way.
I'm just saying,
There's
back
no
in the
way.
day, Storm brews were $5. That was 5 years ago. They were $5. Now a beer at the Lenny is $17, and like
Oh
I
my
get it,
God.
but like come on.
I think that might be more than San Jose. I'm not gonna lie. Is that just because the team's playing good, you think? And
I
now people
I
are
don't
at the
know.
arena? What contributes to that?
I don't know.
That is crazy. Did you get the tailgate at all? How was the tailgating scene for the watch party? Were they
it
out there
they were out
early
there in
before the
full
game?
force. It full force. It was like a normal game was going on, like but just more people. We like I said, we didn't even get to park in the Lenny parking lot. We got there pretty close to puck drop. You know, it was cool though. There were people out grilling. It was just a great time. Everyone was having fun. Um, Vibes were incredibly high. I think it's been so cool to see like Canes fans get the validation of this too, as some of the best in the NHL. It is so cool because at the beginning of this year, no one was talking about how good Canes fans are and how hard it is to play in the Lenny. You know, we we got it. We got the validation, and you could tell people are riding high on that. Everyone was having a great time. It was incredibly hot though, and I have no clue because personally I could never how people were sitting outside like close together like that. Brutally hot. It was a North Carolina summer day outside
Well,
for sure.
shout out to the commitment of the Canes fans.
Oh yeah,
I think the boys are gonna appreciate it for the next probably year. To be honest, they're gonna get it everywhere they go.
oh yeah,
I'm excited for the parade on Saturday, right?
yeah.
Um, and yeah, we since closing out the season, we've already had some blockbuster things going on around the league. I mean, we knew about the Larkin trade kind of getting leaked, before, the Stanley Cup obviously had been won. The Babcock thing. Oh my goodness. What do you know about, like, did you hear they concluded their investigation and I think they're going to let him coach.
Yeah, it's odd. Um,
If you're McDavid, certainly you can't be thinking this is where I want to play, right?
I mean, allegedly I'm assuming, right, like that the Oilers had to have gotten him to green light it. Um,
What do you think it takes? At what point does Connor McDavid throw in the towel with Edmonton? What kind of performance this year would it take for him to be like, all right, I'm not sticking with the last year of my contract. I'm out of here.
honestly, you want my like honest gut feeling take? I think he's the NHL's Mike Trout. So I don't know if you're super familiar with his situation in the MLB, but he's widely considered to be one of the best players to have played baseball. He's definitely not cracking any top 10 lists in my opinion, but I'm sure there are some folks out there that do. But the Angels have just been absolutely awful throughout the entirety of his career. He has minimal playoff experience because of it, but it's like I don't know, man. The talent that is
Okay.
feels like it's going to waste there in that situation. That sucks. And
Does
I
Mike Trout at least have an international title?
no
Like a Team USA title or a Team whatever title?
no. He might have a World Baseball Classic title.
Like an Olympic?
Um,
Or do they do, I
yeah,
don't know, anything like that? A
I
gold
don't
medal,
know.
you know?
My point is he has remained extremely loyal to the Angels. I think you're gonna see the same thing with Connor McDavid. My gut feeling tells me Connor McDavid isn't leaving the Oilers, or won't
Okay.
be trying to anytime soon.
Yeah. What
So
about, do you think they can hold on to him and Draisaitl? I mean, maybe the way their roster is right now, but
I don't know. I just think their problems extend so far beyond those two. Um, yeah.
yeah, I think
That
it'll
they
be
have a
interesting. I mean,
goalie situation to figure out. It's odd. They're
Darnell
in a,
Nurse just requested a trade out of there,
yeah. It's
so he's on his way out. That's a huge player for them. I'm not gonna lie, that is a very big defensive piece for them. On a team struggling to keep the puck out of the net, their problem is not putting the puck in the net with a guy like Connor McDavid, right?
yeah.
So, I'm curious. I kind of disagree with you. I think, especially now that we're seeing guys, kind of gain the balls to do this, like Quinn Hughes, like Larkin. I'm sure we're gonna start seeing more. I almost feel like it's going to, if Edmonton comes out and clearly is not gonna have a chance. Which honestly, looking at the way the West is kind of moving, I honestly don't even know if they will. I don't know if that's
The
going to be a
East is
playoff
going to
team
be a
next year.
buzzsaw for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
could see it though. Like if the Babcock thing, I mean, it looks like it's gonna happen. Like you said, if it doesn't go right for them, it will turn extremely toxic very quickly. If he doesn't win with them, I'd be worried. I agree with you. I could see him wanting out.
Yeah, but I guess only time will tell. I just find it interesting. I think there's a lot of players we're going to see on the move. The Sharks opened up the trading right after the Stanley Cup too. We saw, what is it, Kesselring going from, I think it's
Buffalo.
what is it, Buffalo to San Jose, and then they swap first. I think San Jose just drops back 7, which for San Jose, who's had like basically all of the top, at least top 10 picks over like the last 6 years, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
They don't need more prospects at that level. It's just too expensive. So that they don't really lose anything by trading back a couple spots. And Kesselring is going to be a great addition to their defense. I think. I look at the way the West is shaping up, and that's what gives me like the idea that McDavid's probably going to want out. Is like Anaheim's coming up, San Jose is coming up, Utah's coming up, right? Vegas is good. The number of playoff spots available on the West are going to start to dwindle. Minnesota, Dallas, the Avalanche, right? Like I think that when you look at the way the other teams are trending and stuff, I think next year, honestly, the Edmonton Oilers may be at the bottom of that conference.
Well, bold prediction. Bold prediction.
That you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Connor McDavid's gonna have a crash out season.
I certainly would. If I had to deal with like the things that I've read about Babcock, I my personality wouldn't be one to match with that. But I'm also not an elite athlete with talent like that. So there is that part.
He should just come over to the Canes. That is one interesting thing about us winning the cup is that this certainly now has to become a more favorable destination for a lot of these guys that want to win, right?
A lot of the big guys, like you said, we're only going to be adding one or two. We're going to be very careful about who we add. It's no longer like we're shopping. It's no longer like the Canes need to add guys at multiple places, right? Like you're gonna have to serve a purpose, and you're going to have to be the dude, for lack of better terms. And I think it's quite a compelling position to be in for any of those superstars that are like looking to get out of where they are, or are gonna consider the Canes as a free agent sort of perspective.
Well, and seeing, I think now that our it's being talked about a lot, but our culture is super strong, right?
Yeah.
These are things that I think as a player would attract you to an organization, right? The culture is good. That locker room's really tight and really good, and everyone works hard around you. And as a superstar, when maybe you're on a failing team, you might feel like you're the only one doing everything. You know what I mean? And to be able to come to a place where our fans are extremely supportive, our culture is really good, our staff's supportive, and you're gonna get your chance to shine. I just think now, especially that we've proven ourselves winners, I think we become probably a hot spot for some players looking for trades.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing in that same sort of vein is like you hear the way these guys talk about North Carolina and the Raleigh area. They like it, man, and I think that works a lot to our favor in terms of being able to land some free agents or have guys be interested in coming to Carolina, because that does matter, man. You want to raise your family in a good place. You want to move to a good place, and I think not to say that like Raleigh isn't like a hockey market. I just think it's a really unique market in the sense that like there is a community that builds itself around the Canes, and I think we're seeing that, and I think these players are gonna be able to see that and understand like that the Triangle does rally around its professional sport team. They're loaded with incredible college athletics programs, but like the Canes are the belle of the ball for sports fans in the Triangle, and they show it. So I'm so excited at the possibilities that'll sort of like come from this, that come from the stage that North Carolina, the Carolina Hurricanes organization, and their fans have been put on with the Stanley Cup run. And to that point, one guy that we've sort of talked about. I don't know if we've brought him up on the podcast, but there was news about him and the Canes, and that is that the Canes had chosen Logan Stankoven in the Rantanen trade over Robo. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that, and I think it makes a lot of sense when you look at what Tulski's trying to do, where he's just trying to erase this idea of a window. Um, so when you do that, Robertson is going to put a window on your team. And when you look at Stankoven, that window is much longer. It gives them a lot more freedom, especially with guys getting older like Jordan Stahl, like Martinook, right? So for him, I think it's a really good idea. Not to say that Robo wouldn't be good, and who knows if we find a way to bring Robo in now that we're succeeding
Well,
like this.
that's what I'm
That's
thinking, man.
beautiful. That's
I think
beautiful.
it was a longer run play to hopefully get both of them, and I think that like maybe Tulski hit the line on let's try and make a long run play for both of them and get Stankoven too. Like if they saw both those guys and they liked him enough to be like, okay, we can lock Logan down for term and then add Robo for more term and not have to give up Robo capital and get both those guys. I could see it, man. I could
I
honestly
could see
see
it
that
too.
line of thinking. And I think it's incredibly smart. Because I do think a guy like Robo would do really well on the Carolina Hurricanes. Um, that's
I agree.
my
Yeah.
uh, sort of free agent, right at the top of my free agent wish list is Robo.
I 100% agree. I think he would be an excellent pickup for us. Is he unrestricted?
Mm,
Or
I'm
is
not
he a
too sure.
restricted
Let
free
me
agent?
let me take a look
Wow.
here.
I don't I don't know if we have the right asset. We probably do, honestly, regardless. Offer him a contract, I think, but
I mean, I feel
I,
like it's
yeah,
it's worth a shot. Oh no, he'll be a restricted free agent, so we'll have to give Dallas uh,
draft
some
picks.
draft picks. But okay, so I guess that sort of goes against what I was just saying then. So scratch that. But I do certainly think you're going to get a more friendly deal on him this year because you're going to be offering a team that's in cap hell potentially out. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will say the one bit of news that I did see, I referenced some silly Bob news earlier, and the silly Bob news is Bob Roski saying that he wants like a 4 to 6 year contract. Man, I don't know if you saw
At
that bit.
37? At
Yeah,
37?
yeah,
No.
man.
No one's gonna I especially after coming off of a performance like you had, regardless of the reason, the season prior. That's gonna be hard. Do you know what he was asking for? How much he was
It
asking
was
for?
I think I saw it was in like the 40 million range. So I
Like
think
10 a year?
I think
He's
he's
still looking
wanting.
for like a starter
Yeah,
contract.
yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
think he's wanting just under 10. I think it was like in the like 7 to 8 AAV region. Um,
All I know is we got the Florida goalie that wanted 1.9 million for 3 years, and I think that's a way better deal.
yeah, 100%, man. I'd be willing to give Bob the league minimum 898 contract. He could go sit behind Bussy.
Do you
um,
think we bring Anderson back on as a third or as a backup even, or do you think we let him go and we bring in a young guy as the third or as the backup?
I think we just let Cooch back it up. Um,
Well, I know, but you generally have a third goalie as well.
I say we
Like
draw.
this year we have
I
three. You're
say we
right.
dress Rod the Bod Brindamore as our third
Okay,
goalie,
I'm with
and
it.
we
Or
throw him
David
in.
Aries. Tell him go
Yeah,
find 40-something-year-old David Aries now and
yeah.
have him
Or
suit up
Nick
for us.
Delorier. He is huge too. He
Dude,
plug up the net.
I've seen him and Jarvie hanging out a lot. I think they're really hitting it off. I
Yeah,
hope they bring back Delorier.
me
Or did
too.
they?
Me too.
I think he'd be a good. You need a couple reserves normally. That's just a perfect reserve for us. And then when we have games where we need someone to go get a little scrappy, that's just a perfect player to dress.
Yeah, he's not gonna be expensive. I love what he brings to the team, and I you know did want to talk about like some of the like post game footage and the celebration stuff because I think it's fun to sort of talk about like what we've been seeing on socials. But Nick Delorier is very involved with the team, and I think that's incredibly cool for someone who came into the mix a little bit later. Um, because I think from the videos I've seen, you can tell how like despite being there for a short time, he's like he's well liked in that locker room, and I love it. I was such a big fan of the Delorier trade. Before this podcast was a thought, and we were just doing our off the cuff conversations about Canes hockey. I was gushing over the Delorier trade because I just think, like you said, he brings that, like he's a very specific tool in the toolbox, and I think it was one that the Canes were lacking before they got him, and so I would love right up there with the Robo restricted free agency acquisition. I would love to see Delorier get a little bit of a bag to be on our team for a couple more seasons.
Yeah,
I would be
I think
totally okay with that.
there's a couple more guys we got to talk about too, like Nikishin. What do you think that contract's gonna look like for us?
I think
He
you're
had a great playoff run.
Yeah, so Nikishin was honestly one of those guys I was like unsure of whether or not we like how the extension process was going with him. I think obviously, he is a he doesn't speak as much English. A lot of the cover or he's not as much of a covered player because of that, I want to say. And a lot of his negotiations have to go through like the sort of translation piece, and it's harder to get a read on how he's feeling as a player. um, I didn't know how likely the Canes were going to be able to re-sign him for anything, but I think after seeing some of the content that I've seen on social media, he looks very tight, and like it should be assumed, but he's very tight and close with Specchi and Cooch, and I think that like the Canes winning the cup, one of the biggest impacts that it's going to have is our ability to re-sign him, because I think he's a good player and he has the ability to be a very good defensive player for us for a long time.
Yeah, and I think other than him, I actually don't even know if there's any other contracts this year we have to renew. I think we know Kakaniemi is likely on his way out. I actually hope for him. I like him. I hope for his sake that he is, because I want him to get the chance to go play.
Yeah,
And I think like
I think they're gonna give him or do their best to find him a good landing spot.
yeah, I think so too. I think they want to get that would be a good. I think it's like 5 million too or something like that. It's a good amount of cap, honestly,
It's
as well.
yeah,
So
it's far more money than you want to be playing for a guy that you're healthy catching. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Um,
So I love where we're at. What celebrations? Let's talk celebrations. Jordan Stahl, oldest player ever to get the Conn Smythe. May I note, exactly 20 years to the day from our last Stanley Cup.
Incredible stuff, huh?
Can you believe that? That's insane. June 14th, 2006, Rod Brindamore is the captain, lifts the Stanley Cup. June 14th, 2026, Jordan Stahl is your Conn Smythe winner and the oldest one ever.
And he was dominant in his run to the Conn Smythe.
Yeah. I mean, points are one side of it, but the face-off stat, he sets a record for the best face-off percentage in the Stanley Cup final. 69.8% or something like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Unreal. Playing against the best guys on a team that was stacked with superstars.
And he shut him down. He shut him down.
Shut him down, and then he went and scored goals. He did more than just shut them. It was unbelievable. It was an extremely dominant performance from a guy who is the leader on that team. That in itself was an incredible story. I saw the voting, and I think it was basically it was Stahl, Hall, and then Stankoven for 3. If I were voting, I would probably have done Stahl, Stankoven, Bussy. Probably would have been my 3, to be honest. But
Yeah.
who would you have picked for your 3?
I think I would probably go with Stahl just because of how timely his lockdown play was, and like the fact I think just like him stepping up as the captain, getting 6 goals in 6 games. Um, the highest face-off percentage in the Stanley Cup final. Those were the difference makers, right? That's what was able to sort of get us out of a game 1 and game 3 loss, and keep us in there, and ultimately, let us shut it down for the Golden Knights. I think that he's a totally reasonable number 1 pick. I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, oh, it's the entirety of the playoffs. It's a larger award than just the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know. I think that it went to the right guy. I think I'd probably go Stanky second, Hall third, but yeah,
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
no issue with the decision that was
No,
made.
me either. In fact, I don't think there could have been a better decision.
No, no.
And I think Gary Bettman acknowledged that a little bit too. I thought that was really cool.
That save
Um,
percentage is big time. That I don't think there is
yeah,
any denying it. Like that is the stat that makes me
for the
just
face-off
totally,
percentage, yeah.
that makes me totally comfortable with it going to Stall over a guy like Marner who produced a lot more on the score sheet, because clearly one of those was a more important sort of contribution to the team in getting the cup than the other.
Yeah. Speaking of Marner, he did come out about his dark times. Unfortunately, a little bit sadder than funny. Just mental health issues was
Dude,
kind of
yeah.
vague. I think he kind of dug himself a hole. That was a stupid thing to say. I think he regrets saying it
I mean,
at
it's hard.
all.
It's hard to talk about those things, and I
Yeah.
like as like a normal person who isn't famous and isn't under the microscope. It's hard to talk about those things, but to be the guy in one of the biggest hockey markets in the world, and be going through one of those, I'm sure it's incredibly challenging to think about talking
Especially,
about that stuff.
yeah, especially facing all the scrutiny from fans, like
Yeah,
all the time, right?
yeah.
Especially this year. So,
Now
yeah,
that I
definitely
will say
difficult, but
the hate for Mitch Marner, that he sort of gets and is thrown his way. I don't get it. I think he's obviously a incredible hockey player. Would I love to see him on the Carolina Hurricanes? 100%. I think
yeah, I was gonna ask
if you
you.
say no, I think you're lying to yourself, because I think he would be an incredible Hurricane.
He
Um,
would.
and
He'd fit in great.
I think that the reason he gave about not going to the Canes and his wife being pregnant, I think that's 100% reasonable too. Um,
You think? You think if she wasn't pregnant, he comes to the Canes?
who knows? Who knows, bro? Anything's
The
possible.
other thing, like, okay, we talked about, like, obviously Carolina's in a position where we're only going to pick up like a certain caliber player. To you, would Marner be one of those guys? Like, would you take Marner?
Yeah, yeah,
I
hands
mean,
down.
yeah, I would hope so. I just think it's interesting. I'm so excited to see what kinds of things we do moving forward here. Because there's no way we just run it back with the exact same roster. I
We
don't think.
can't. We can't. I think
No.
if we did, like I said, I'd be disappointed if we did that to KK. I want to see him go get his opportunity to be an everyday player, because I think that would be incredibly good for him. And I think he does have the potential to contribute in a meaningful way to an NHL roster. Um, yeah, no. So I think there are guys that like I would like to actually see be able to move on and get their chance, and show like other teams what a Rod Brindamore coached player can bring to their team. I think any level of that sort of exposure is good for the Canes in one way or another.
Yeah. And then I guess we transition to Jordan Stahl going back up to grab the cup,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Finally, the trophy he wanted. He ditched the Conn Smythe so fast. He held onto it for like 3 seconds, skated over to the
Got
bench,
his
and then he
picture,
went straight
yeah.
back for the Stanley Cup. Yeah. He
Oh
didn't
man,
want that trophy. There was only one trophy that guy was thinking about, and it was the Stanley Cup.
incredible. And like his celebration, man, he went crazy. I
He's a scary looking Viking.
yeah, him and Ehlers, very Viking like with their
Yeah,
playoff beards. Um,
yeah,
no, I loved it, man. I loved seeing Freddie get the cup second, Hall third, and like Aho being like, no, let's give it to Hall next. I loved it. I think you saw some really cool like subtle insights into the team dynamic, and it's incredible. You know, Gostisbehere had his baby in the cup. I thought that's always fun. Um, and it's just been
wonder
so.
what else they've put in that cup now.
Oh, dude, everything under the moon. I'm sure. It's been cool to see like Kane or the Canes players pouring beers into fans' mouths out of the cup, like incredible stuff. The boys are living it up, and it's so fun to be able to watch like the guys that we know on the like we don't know them, but the guys we're used to seeing on the team get to do this stuff. Like in years past, it's been really hard, or not hard, but like I don't know. It's not as fun to
Yeah,
see like other teams and other players get to like celebrate with the cup. It's so much better seeing our guys like just party, do their thing, and be a team. I love it.
absolutely. And I think to end it off, I do want to give our flowers to Freddie. He
Freddie.
got us through so many games this postseason in such an unbelievable fashion, given his track record, given his performance, even in the regular season. I honestly do not want us to bring him back, unfortunately, but I think he absolutely deserves his flowers, and I'm glad he had this opportunity to lift the cup with the Canes too, because he's been on good teams all around the place, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he finally got it done, and he is a good goalie, but I just don't think he's the Carolina Hurricanes netminder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's it would be it'll be cool to see Bussy get his chance, but I will say I think even in our conversations I've always been extremely high on Freddie. I know he like gets hurt, but I think he's just such a consistent dude. Like through all of that, through his injuries, he's always been the same guy, and I love that about him. He's been the butt of the joke so many times for so many fans in this franchise. Had fans talk endless crap about him, and he came out and he delivered a 12-1 performance through the first 3 rounds. I Freddie is a Canes
Yeah,
legend in my mind. I will
yeah,
forever be singing his praise as a Carolina Hurricane. He went through an extremely like traumatic sort of personal
loss. Yeah,
experience, and loss of a friend and someone he considered family, and he still won a couple games after that. That's you can't ask for any more out of a guy who's given so much to the franchise in my mind. And it
absolutely.
is so cool to see him lift the cup after he's been a meme to the Toronto fan base, to the Anaheim fan base, and to the Canes fan base. Um, yeah, I think one of the most validating cup lifts I've seen was the Freddie one because yeah, he deserved it. It was so cool to see.
Yeah, he's getting older, man, and to be honest, like you said, he's very consistent in every way except for his health, and I think at the end of the day, that is a major factor, especially when you look at success of a team. So, I think for him, although he comes back very strong always, I just think, you know, at least on a team where the goal is to continue to move up and forward, I think he's a guy that we do look at moving on from.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you could even say, hey, I would like to see Freddie on the coaching staff. To be honest, that's been the
yeah,
one thing I've been thinking about. Um,
goaltender coach.
Goaltender coach, just any like a player development guy. I could see Freddie being involved in hockey at more than just
Totally.
a player.
Maybe more effective,
Yeah,
even. Like, not, I mean, he looked pretty bad this year, other than his cup. Obviously his playoffs was excellent, thank God. But, I'm excited. I think Kochekov's another guy I'm excited to see kind of get a prolonged chance as well. I mean, he's been pretty good for us, and he's really waited for his turn as well, And both
yeah,
of those, both Bussy and Kochekov, are just at the perfect point in their career to
yeah.
be really good. And, I think they have the potential to do it, so it'll be super fun to see next year. And I think that really does give Rod and Eric Tolsky a lot of confidence when you look at our tandem in net.
A lot of confidence, a lot of freedom to build the team up in other places. I think it looks extremely positive for the Canes from here, and I am so excited to be a fan, and to be able to watch Carolina Hurricanes hockey in, you know, about 3-4 months here. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yes,
and I think that's a good transition time to kind of talk about our plans for the off season. I think we're gonna do weekly episodes,
yep.
just kind of talking about what's going on around the league, what we want to see with our team, maybe what we want to see with other teams.
What we want to
Who
see
knows?
with the podcast, how we want to grow that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to sort of take some time to upping the production value for y'all. Get some like graphics in here, learn how to do that stuff. But yeah, we wanna be a resource for Canes fans. I think now's the fun part on our end because we get to try to be creative with this.
Yep. And we get to do it while being Stanley Cup champions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up. Gino, you have anything else you wanted to get to?
Um, no, live high, Canes fans.
Yes.
Really, really breathe it in for a little while, and yeah, I'm excited to see where we go from here. I think there's a lot to talk about and a lot of things to get excited about over the up and coming year. So, yeah, just looking forward to continuing to do this. So,
Yep. We gotta now we get to enjoy the victory lap, and I love that for us Canes fans. As usual, the quick rundown. Whether you're listening to us on Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, follow or click on that subscribe button, like, comment, goes a long way for us. It's really cool to see that people are listening to the show. And yeah, it's great for us and getting more people into our audience. But yeah, thank you all so much. Have a great night, and we're champions.
yeah, let's go Canes. In the words of Peter Pablo, North Carolina, come on and raise up.
Yes, sir.